Welcome back to the channel. I thought I'd do something a bit different today. A week ago I was travelling down to Kent for work, and I stopped off at my good friend Graham Mason's house and came away with a nice stash. So I thought I'd share that stash, but also my channel hit 500 subscribers, which I'm really pleased with. I think I relaunched it about 5 months ago, so I think that's quite good progress for a little old Spectrum channel. So I thought, why not celebrate with a cup of tea, slice of cake.
A slice of cake and a cup of tea suits Aunt Sally and that suits me. Offer us the world, but all we'll take is a cup of tea and a slice of cake. A cup of tea and a slice of cake. When the moon comes up or at daybreak, ever after we'll live happily on slices of cake and cups of tea.
So there is the lovely stash and the cup of tea and the slice of cake. So I came away with 10 issues of Crash magazine, a Next magazine annual, an issue of Your Computer, which I don't think I've ever read, and a couple of Your Sinclairs. So yeah, I was very pleased to get all of those. And yeah, so why don't I have a look through some of these magazines and pick out some of the good bits and let you see what you think. I've started flicking through them and highlighting bits, and to do that, to mark my pages, I've been using these Top Trumps, Spectrum Top Trumps. I've somehow picked up 2 packets over the years. I don't know where either of them came from. Probably came up on Facebook or something like that. They're 2 different sets. So this one is the ZX Spectrum Classic Game Challenge, and that's giftalien.com. Oops, I've just dropped them all over the floor, but never mind. And they look a bit like this. So we've got Spy Hunter there with playability of 89, I thought that said 69, 89%, that sounds about right. Graphics at 82, sound at 60, is it 80? Can't zoom in, looks like 80 actually. Addictiveness at 80, doesn't run on C16, I'm getting all confused. It doesn't run on a 16K Spectrum, and it's not a Spectrum exclusive, so that's how they're made up. I'll just show you another one from this pack. That's Dan Dare, yeah. So that's all in the 90s there, apart from the sound, which probably is correct. Great game, Dan Dare. Oh, I've just spotted Chase HQ as well, which is another fantastic game on the Spectrum. So that's the first set. And here's the second set. Let's just get them out and have a look at these. These are quite different in style. I probably prefer this nice clean style, to be honest. And there's Football Manager, and this time we're looking at the release year, the graphics, sound, playability, addictiveness, and an overall score. So 77% for Football Manager. I'll just pick another one. Jetpack, 95% overall, not bad. And strangely, this one doesn't have any graphics. It's got the inlay instead. Daily Tantalus Decathlon with an 85%. So that, yeah, I just thought I'd use these as bookmarks. But why not show them to you while I'm doing it? There we go. The first magazine I'm going to look at is Crash number 14 from March 1985, and I'll probably just pick out the Crash smashes, any particularly high or low scored games, and any features that might be of interest. And I'll flick through a few of the magazines and hopefully enjoy it. Okay, here we go then with Crash issue 14. It's a Everyone's a Wally cover. Other things showing on the cover are there's an exclusive review of Gyron from Firebird and Mooncrester from Incentive. And we also get maps for Doomdax Revenge, Tin, Nog and Airwolf apparently. So yeah, I love that artwork. Very reminiscent of the game itself. So let's have a look inside. I'll just flick to the first page that I've bookmarked, Tornado Low Level, and the reason I picked this one is because of these 2 lovely trophies here, the Ultimate trophies, and these are a competition between, I think it was run by Crash and Ultimate, and the best maps that were created for those games would receive those 2 beautiful trophies. I think they're really nice. That's for Underworld and Night Law. Be interesting to know who got those and whether they still have those trophies. Yeah, really nice them. So we'll now skip on to the very first review of this issue. I do like to, as you'll know if you've watched my other magazine reviews, I like to look at the first, the last, the best and the worst. So let's have a look at the first in this one. I won't be playing any games, unlike my other review videos. I'll just be flicking through them. But yeah, this is Lazy Jones. It's a game I've never played. Terminal Software, a company that I'm not particularly aware of either. But let's see what they said on the general rating for Lazy Jones. A novel way of presenting a game's compendium, but an average game in itself, which would probably prove to be good value for young players. So it sounds like it's a variety of game styles. We've got a score of 63% overall on that one. I might give that a try. I've heard of it, but I've never actually seen it before. So so that's that one. And I've got Jumping Jack on that top trump. And now we'll flick through a little bit further and we get to our first Crash Smash. So this one is for Gyron from Firebird. It's the exclusive review they mentioned on the cover. It does get a massive 93%. All of the scores in the 90s. 96% for its graphics. And they do look good from these scores. And I think I've played it, but I don't really know enough about it to remember if I did or whether I had it on a tape of copies and didn't give it any proper chance because I didn't understand it or something like that. So I can't really talk about whether it was as good as they say, but they do say that it's an astonishing program which requires quick arcade responses and a great deal of thought, and it should provide hours and hours of satisfying frustration, which actually sounds great. I might have to give it a go. So that was Gyron, and then the next one is our next exclusive, and it's also another Crash Smash, and this one is Mooncrester. Now, I have played Mooncrester before, and I think that's going to be one of my One Life reviews quite soon. It's a great game. I do agree that they've given it an overall rating of 90, which may be a few percent high, but it is a very good conversion of the arcade game. So pleased with that one. Oh, look, we've got Dizzy on this card here. We'll keep going. Oh, the other thing I wanted to call out on there is there's a nice review of The Biz. And if you don't know, that's by Chris Seavey, who is better known as Frank Sidebottom. And that game got a very respectable 83%. It's a game I'm aware of but haven't played. I'm flicking through these magazines. I'm starting to make a list of these games that I've always wanted to play and never got around to. So The Biz is definitely on that list. We'll keep flicking. And we get to another Crash Smash. There's quite a lot in this issue. And this one's Wizard's Lair. What's this? Rally Simulator on the top trump. Never heard of it. So Wizard's Lair, which is obviously an Attic Attack type of game. Very Ultimate-esque graphics. And they even call out here that it's an Attic Attack game, just like I said. Yes, this is definitely like Attic Attack. Or is it Attic Attack? Or is it Attic Attack? Answers on a postcard. But it's also different, apparently. It's actually much faster for one thing, and there are other differences. Monsters often appear by coming through the doors. Now, that's a good touch, that they can come in and out of the doors. You can run out of weaponry. The addition of spells enables you to convert your gold to other things. So it sounds like it's a more in-depth game than Ultimates. And Bubble Bus got 94% for that. It does look nice. I can't say it was ever my kind of forte, these kind of games, and that could be a screen straight out of Attic Attack. So, a bit derivative, but it sounds like they've done a really good job of it. And the general rating suggests that it's an excellent arcade adventure game, which requires exploration and discovery. And very good value for money and highly recommended with 94%. Very nice. Next, we see there's the monthly Crash quiz, and this time it's a little bit different because they've gone with a caption competition, and you can see Sir Clive Sinclair showing Harold Macmillan how to use a ZX Spectrum. If anybody can come up with a good caption for that, let me know in the comments. There are a couple of examples. The first one being, "And that's Horace killing Chris Curry, your lordship," which is quite amusing. And then what's that second one? "Lord, you played the night too long." I don't know what that relates to. But yeah, if you can think of any good captions, then let me know. What's the top trump this time? Oh, and just after we've gone there, just happens to be Attic Attack as our screenshot. So let's just compare that screen that I said was exactly like Attic Attack. Well, maybe not exactly, but very, very similar. Moving on to our next one is another Crash Smash, and the top trump is for the first ever Crash Smash. 3D Death Chase was the first game reviewed in issue 1 of Crash and was a smash itself. So that's good timing for that to come up as well. Project Future from Micromania is another game that I'm not aware of. The general rating is that it's very good, addictive, and everything works very well, but which doesn't really tell you anything about the game, does it? Let's see if I can just spot quickly what type of game it is. There's a big load of comments saying that they don't know why the spaceship is being destroyed, so the backstory doesn't give enough information. Somebody else has said that the maze games don't seem to be so common anymore, so that it's good for a bit of variety, but I can't see what the game's about. Looking at the graphics, doesn't look like my kind of game anyway, but it's a Crash Smash, 90%. Next, we have the worst game reviewed in the magazine, and that's Rattler from Atlantis. There's not much you can see from the screenshot. Looks like a snake kind of game, I assume. It's got 53%, which, you know, actually isn't that bad a score for the worst game in the magazine. I know Crash often gave scores in the 20s and 30s and 40s, so 53 doesn't seem too bad. The game on the card is Peking, which looks like a mahjong kind of game. Another one I've never heard of. So Rattler is a simple game which works well because of the playing options, and it's good value for younger players. So again, they're suggesting that it's simple, I assume, from that. We then get to the Crash Hotline, which is the Crash charts. And what was interesting, I always thought, about Crash was that it wasn't just the sales charts, which they had some great data for, being a mail order company themselves. It was they also used customer opinion, which is maybe ahead of its time, because the charts, the music charts, eventually brought in downloads, didn't they, or streaming numbers, which is, you know, the popular public vote. So yeah, it's interesting that Crash did that right from the start, and we can see that obviously Ultimate were the big players around then, in at number 1 with Night Law, number 2 with Underworld, and again at number 5 with Saberwolf. So 3 of the top 5, and then the other 2 in the top 5 are both from Beyond, Doomed Dark's Revenge and Lords of Midnight, both Mike Singleton games. So that's quite interesting that it's a very bunched up top 5. I can't see anything specifically that jumps out as being a surprise in that chart. Maybe American football at number 28. Maybe that's a little bit surprising. But yeah, that's the chart. And if we flick further, we get to the first of our maps, and this is a really nice one. This is for Tir na Nog. Yeah, really nice map that is. And I think we get a... no, we don't. It's not this one. There's a lot of information about each of the areas, and there's like a legend up there as well. And this was compiled with the help of Gargoyle Games, Barbara Winterton, Keith Eli, and Jonathan Lamb. Nice stuff. And we had school days on that one. Then we get to the Crash questionnaire. And one thing I love about old magazines is when people have written in them. I don't get magazines to sell them or anything. So like this one's got pages falling out. It doesn't bother me one bit. I only want them to read them. And I'll probably keep them until they completely fall apart. So I think it's great when you see that somebody's filled this in. And whoever owned this magazine was 11 years old at the time. As you can see, they gave Crash a rating of 90%. And reading through some of their answers about what they think of Crash, they were basically saying it's better than most other magazines, and that they agree with Crash reviews most of the time. Now, I'll just show you that Commando, because I'm going to use that to cover up, because on the other side we do have some more, but we also have the young lad Andrew Bruce, who was 11 in 1985, I assume. His full address is in there, so we'll just cover that up. He's probably moved on from there a long time ago, but never mind. We'll just give him a little bit of privacy. And then some of these questions are fairly interesting. We've got all the different sections in Crash, and which do you find the best? They're in alphabetical order, and you put them in order from 1 to 20. And Andrew has said that the news is the most important thing to him, and the least important is the advertisers index, which I think all of us would probably agree with. And below that, the next worst is the adventure stuff. So seems like he's more of an arcade gamer. Yeah, so that's... Oh, there we go. He also... his dad and his brother also read the magazine each month, and I think it also says somewhere that he is actually a subscriber. So yeah, I find it all really interesting reading these things that people have scribbled on the magazines, or these things that have been filled out and then never sent off. There is the letters section. I never ever found the letters section interesting in magazines. I know a lot of people do, and I very rarely ever even wrote into them. So yeah, I wasn't that bothered by that aspect. We then get a competition for Gyron. This one is a bit different, where you've got some fold out shapes, and then you just have to match them up against what will they look like when they're folded out. So you can cut it out and try it, or you can just guess. But I thought it was an interesting little change for a competition. And we've got Bobby Bearing on the top trump. And we keep going, and we get an interview with Mike Singleton. So he's got two games in the top 5. And he's then interviewed. And there's some quite interesting stuff around, I think it's over here, where he says that he wrote some short 1K games in BASIC for the ZX81, and they eventually then became Games Pack 1 for Sinclair, and he doesn't know how many he sold, but he made about £6,000 in royalties from them quick 1K games, which it was the best rate of pay he'd ever had, he says. So yeah, probably a week's work, £6,000 in 1982, whatever, or 81. Sounds like a good return to me. And the other thing that he says here in this box out is that one of his primary rules is in designing a game is to try and make everything as functional as possible. So hopefully the graphics should have a purpose as well as being mere decoration. And I think that's come clear in the games that he has done, certainly in the Lords of Midnight type of games. The graphics certainly do serve a purpose and aren't just there as dressing. And then we do get a Doomdark's Revenge map, and you can just see the scale of the map if you look at just the sheer number of squares that make up that map. It's massive. I don't know who drew this one, or whether it was but yeah, it was an Ollie Frey one with help from beyond, and the Crash reader Tony Evans of Kirkham in Lancs. Okay, so there you go. I did like when Ollie used to do his maps. They were always really nice looking. And then there's the legend for that map. That was Paperboy, that one, if you're interested. And then we have... So the first... we're into the advert... No, we're into the adventures now. And Spider-Man is the only Crash Smash from the adventure section. It does only get 8 out of 10, though, overall. But that's enough for a Crash Smash, apparently, and I'm sure I've seen 9 out of 10s in the adventure section not get a Crash Smash, so I've never understood quite how they worked that out. But yeah, Spider-Man was a very good game, and Scott Adams, of course. Night Flight, anyone remember that one? Doesn't look very interesting. Keeping going, we then get to this one I found interesting. This is a competition that they ran in a previous issue, where you had to draw a loading screen for a new Gremlin graphics game called Beaver Bob. And this one here, Beaver Bob in Damn Trouble, is the name of the game, and that's the winning screenshot. Loading screen, which looks very nice, colourful. I'm not sure it looks extremely like a beaver, but you can see the teeth, I suppose. But there he is, chopping his logs. wouldn't they usually use their teeth and not saws? But let's not split hairs. This is the one that I like the most. This came second. This one was from Graham Lucas. The winning one was by PJ Seymour. Yeah, so that looks really nice, I think. I love the perspective of it as well. And then we've got the third place one, which again it's nice. I like the whole image. The only thing that lets it down is I don't even see how that is a beaver. That looks more like an eagle to me. But yeah, I like all three of them. And apparently, the winner got their loading screen used in the game Beaver Bob in Damn Trouble. But did it get released? I've never heard of the game. So I might have to check that up on Spectrum Computing a little bit later and see if it did actually get a release. Oh, that was Ninja Scooter Sim. And then we get to the cover star. Everyone's a Wally. And I think, no, I don't think this is the highest scoring. I think that might have been Gyron. But this one gets 93%. Massive 96 for value for money. How much was it? It was £10 and they gave it 96% for value for money. That's a fair old score. Yeah, I mean, I do like the Wally Week games. Let's see. General rating, we just get one word: excellent. So yeah, Everyone's a Wally. Deserved cover star as far as I'm concerned. And the top trump for this one is New Wheels, John. Don't remember it. We then get the final review in the magazine, and this one is for Monty is Innocent, which comes out with a score of 78%. And if I remember rightly, Monty is Innocent is the game that's a Monty game, but not a Monty game, in that it was a spin-off. Monty's in prison, is he? And you've got to help him escape, something like that. Yeah, just isn't this the one that introduces Sam Stoat? Yeah, I think it is. Anyway, that's Monty is Innocent. I haven't played it. I know it's always got kind of middling reviews compared to the actual proper Monty games. And we have Jack the Nipper. And if you've watched my previous video of 10 great games from Gremlin, the compilation review, Jack the Nipper's on there and I gave it a good score. I think it might have been about around 8 out of 10, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I really enjoyed Jack the Nipper. And I think that's it for this magazine. We end with an advert for Gift from the Gods by Ocean. And that's Crash issue 14 from March 1985. It's really nice flicking through these old magazines. This is the oldest one of the ones that I've got. I've enjoyed flicking through, and I will read it in more detail. Yeah, I'll take a bit of time. I'll have a bit more of that cake. I'll have a read, and then I'll come back with another one in a bit. Okay, so the second magazine I wanted to look at is the Christmas special from Christmas 1985. I remember buying this one myself. I will have got it from, and there's a shop like John Menzies, but I can't remember the name of it, in the Withenshaw Civic Centre that is in South Manchester, if anybody is unaware. Yeah, I do remember picking this one up with its Santa giving a present to an alien who's obviously just got himself a Spectrum, or stolen a Spectrum, I don't know, but Santa's giving him Space Invaders there. We can see from the cover that you get a giant poster, 8 exciting pages printed both sides, pull-out calendar with surprises. £8,000 worth of competition prizes, Lloyd Mangram's look back, an interview with Gargoyle Games, and Houston Sphinx, an astonishing new game that's about to be revealed. Sorry. Yeah, so that's Crash Christmas special. I love the Christmas specials because they were always double issues. So this one comes to somewhere like 200 pages, I think, 180 at least. Yeah, so let's have a look inside, and the first thing that I've pulled up is, well, we've got Bombjack Top Trump. Bombjack is possibly it's definitely my top 3 all-time Spectrum games. It's possibly my favourite game of all time, the arcade version. So yeah, that's the top trump, but here we go. Crash and Sinclair User. In the August issue of Crash magazine, we printed a section which was intended as a spoof of Sinclair User. So this was the Unclear User spoof that they did. And this is the full page apology that they were forced to print. We wish unreservedly to apologise to Sinclair User, its publishers and editorial staff, who we know from continued contact to be knowledgeable and professional journalists and highly respected in the home computer industry. Yeah, that was some climb down, wasn't it? I mean, how they ever thought that that was going to be acceptable, that whole Unclear User thing. But yeah, interesting to see that full page apology there. The next thing we have is the first of our Crash Smashes. Again, there's quite a few in this one, particularly with it being a double issue. This one's Robin of the Woods from Odin. I always liked the packaging of Odin games. I'm not sure if I've played Robin of the Wood though, but it does look very nice. Yeah, some lovely little sprites there. So yeah, I like the look of it. Let's see what score this one got. It's on a 3-page review. Lots of lovely screenshots, and 94%, an excellent game that should appeal to anyone, with beautiful graphics, detailed and well executed. Yeah, looks nice. But the other thing that I thought I'd just call out on here is the review for Beachhead 2. I think Beachhead 2 is Crash Smash worthy. Oh no, I'm getting confused. That's Beachhead 2, not Beachhead. Yeah, Beachhead 2 wasn't quite as good, was it? I was thinking of Beachhead. Beachhead for a single load game was fantastic, but they've given this one 74%, saying that a lot of options crammed into one game, but some might find the gameplay weak. Yeah, maybe it is acceptable that, but I don't think I'll need to print a full page apology to Crash for besmirching them. The next Crash Smash is a big one. It's Saboteur, 93%. Oh look, and we've got another Durell game on the top trump with Scuba Dive. Yeah, so, I mean, everybody knows Saboteur. Beautiful graphics, really, really fun game. Lots to do. Yeah, it was tricky, but loved it. For some reason, though, we get a picture of Jeff Cape's Strongman in the corner. I don't know what that's doing there. Let's see if there's a Jeff Cape Strongman on the next page. No, there's not. So why would we have that picture with that game? Madness. But what we do get on the next page with our Ant-Attack card is Roller Coaster, which was an infuriatingly difficult kind of Manic Miner-y platformy game. I loved the theming of it, but it was just so hard. But it gets 94% in here. So yeah, it was a great game. Moving on to our next Crash Smash, we get Vectron from Insight. Not a name I know. I know the game Vectron, but I don't know Insight. Yeah, Starquake on the card. I love the Tron cover. Yeah, really nice Tron cover. Oh yeah, this is a Mike Folling game, isn't it? I remember now because I saw him at Crash Live earlier this year, or was it last year? Last year, I assume it was. Yeah, and he talked about this game, but I loved the Tron imagery that they used on the game. And Vectron got a nice 92% there. A brilliant arcade shoot 'em up. We'll keep going, and another one of my top 5 games of all time, 3D Death Chase, or Death Chase 3D, as I believe it should be called. And then we've got this. This is the Jeff Cape Strongman review. So there we go. I think that's the same picture. It's an interesting game, Jeff Cape Strongman, because they've tried to do something different in the multi-event sports area. So there's very little in the way of waggling. But I still think it's very repetitive. But it's a decent game. 78% is probably a little high, but it's a decent game. Next up, we get a competition to win an Ocean goodie bag. And on this one, you have to name these 6 games. So we've got this one up here, which is obviously one of the match days. Down here, lots of skulls. Not sure. Not sure. I'm not going to do very well at this. That looks like the follow-up to Mr. Do. I don't know if that's what that is. And I can't even see what that character's supposed to look like. So I would have done rubbish on this game and wouldn't have got myself an Ocean goodie bag. But there we have another Ocean game, Operation Wolf, which I believe was Game of the Year when it was released. The next I wanted to show was just this lovely advert for their Finest Hour. I just love the way they've used the RAF logo as Pac-Man eating the Nazi ghost. I think that's a nice little play on that imagery. I think they've done a good job there. So well done to whoever published it. Century Communications. Easy for you to say. Then we'll jump forward and we can see Lloyd Mangram's Look Back at 1985, and this is where Lloyd goes through each year calling out the things that have happened in the games that were released, and it's a fascinating read if you're not a subscriber. It might be a bit of filler if you're a subscriber and you already know all of this stuff because you've had Crash for the last 12 months. But for me, looking at it now, it's a fascinating read, and that's one that I haven't yet, but I will read that page, every word, and get that full review of 1985. I'm looking forward to spending some time with that. So there's lots of good stuff in there. Then we get an interview with Gargoyle Games, so Greg Follis, Roy Carter, and Ted Heathcote, and they're a little bit different, or they like to tell you themselves that they're a little bit different in that they're not teenage whiz kids, and as you can see from the picture, they're all a little bit older than your average games maker. It's an interesting conversation with them where they talk about not being rock stars. Nice. It's a nice interview. Brian Jack Superstars Challenge. So that's a nice one. It's a long interview, but it's interesting. We then get this. I think this is supposed to be this pull-out poster thing, but it's just an advert for US Gold and a terrible calendar that's only got 6 months in it. So unless a page has fallen out, I think that's quite poor, really. It's just adverts. What have we got here? Now, if you're going to do a Horace Goes Skiing one, you've got to do the graphics from the game and not just the loading screen. Come on, get a grip. One of the maps, a nice big map again for Starquake, a game where a map is quite useful. So that's nice again. We've got Popeye. And moving on, we get the hotline chart again, and this time, by this point, they've reduced it down to the hotline top 30. It used to be the 50, but it's only 30 this time. And if we look at the top, we've got Way the Exploding Fist and Hypersports as the top two. Excellent games. Fairlight, I couldn't really get far in that game, so I didn't play it that much. Spy vs. Spy, Highway Encounter, and Highway Encounter again is a video I've reviewed as part of one of my compilations and absolutely loved it. I'd never played it, thought I would hate it, but it's a brilliant game. So if you haven't played that Highway Encounter, give it a go. And then we've also got Nightshade, Spy Hunter, Starquake, Match Day, and Nodes of Yesod. So good games in that chart. What's this other side? Oh, the adventure chart. So we've got Marsport at the top of the charts. I've never played Marsport. I've played the other games using the same engine, Dundarek and Tin Anog, but not Marsport. And just a willy. We keep going, and we get the Mighty Commando. What a fantastic game that is! Superb conversion, and I think it's the best of all of the 8-bit conversions. I think the cartoony graphics, the colour that's been used, it just looks and plays wonderfully. So that's one of the best Spectrum arcade conversions. What was that? Raid over Moscow. I like that. It's a good game. Next we have After the Minder card. Minder's a game I've never played. I've watched the box set of the TV show multiple times, but I've never played the game. I need to put that right. But what we have then is the vote for your game of the year, and I used to love this. This is one of my favourite things when I got the magazines, was being able to put all my votes in for the games that I wanted to win the awards. They never generally did, but I just used to love it. I still like filling in questionnaires now, but I remember back then it was a big thing. We've got a Crash Smash in the Adventures, Swords and Sorcery from PSS. I've never played it. Not a big adventure gamer. Played quite a few adventures, but not, they're not really my thing. But yeah, that's got itself 9 out of 10, an ambitious and outstanding addition to the game's playing world. Jetpack Simulator. And then I think we're on to the last review in the magazine. And the last review after our Formula One card, which that's a brilliant game, that one. It's the final game is the Quest for the Holy Grail. And it was interesting reading the review because I'm aware of the game. It's an adventure in the Hobbit kind of style. But what I wasn't aware was that it was originally released by a company called Dream Software. But then they sold it to Mastertronic, who released it again, but really doubled down on the Monty Python kind of look. So it really does look like a Monty Python Quest for the Holy Grail, but it isn't. It's a unlicensed game, heavily based on it. But yeah, I didn't realise it was a re-release by Mastertronic, and that it was originally released by another company, Dream Software. So that was interesting as well. And that's everything from this issue. There is an interview with Ollie Frey about his artwork, his comic book stuff. That's quite interesting. But yeah, that's it for this one. I'll look at one more. And then we'll call it a day. So see you in a minute. Okay, we're back with the final issue, and the eagle-eyed of you may notice a little slight change to the colouring of this part of the video, and that is because it's now nighttime. I did record this bit of the video earlier on, only to find that I'd pressed photo instead of video, so it didn't record. So now we're back. We have a slightly different drink and snack with a glass of beer and the smallest packet of pork scratchings in the whole wide world. But let's get back to it. We're now looking at issue 35 from December 1986. It's got a lovely picture of a snake on the front, advertising the fact that the cover star is Cobra, the fantastic Joffa Smith game. We also have a review of The Great Escape. Hannah's back with some great tips, which tells you that Hannah Smith has now taken over the tipster role. We have maps for Glide Rider and Light Force, a profusion of previews. I'm not sure what a profusion of previews means. I know what previews means, but what's a profusion? What else have we got? Oh, a guaranteed 100% pure, no film stills or screenshots from other computers. I'm pretty sure I saw a screenshot from another computer in the previews, but we'll check that as we get to it. And then down here, we also get win a compact disc. Ooh, I hope it's a good one. You don't want to win it and find out it's Bay City Rollers or something, do you? Let's have a look anyway, and we'll crack on. So, we jump straight in to the first review, and it's a biggie. Look at this, 96% for The Great Escape, and I don't think many can argue with that. I won't go through what's on the top trump cards, because you've probably already seen them in the last two magazines, and we don't want to repeat ourselves. So, apart from the fact that I am repeating myself because I've already recorded this once, and I'm even repeating myself now because I've already told you I've already recorded it once. So I need to stop repeating myself. So The Great Escape. It's a Crash Smash. It's the first game in the magazine, and it's fantastic. There probably isn't a more atmospheric game available for the Spectrum. It was just wonderful. If you haven't played it, you should. If you have played it, then you don't need me to tell you about it. So let's move on. We'll have to turn one page to find the Sacred Armour of Antiriad, which was another excellent game from Palace. But the only reason I call this out is because it's got the worst ever score that you could receive. 89%, no crash smash. Obviously a great game, but misses out by that 1%, which just seems a bit unfair if you ask me. Next to it is a lovely advert for Zeno, which is a great game. I loved that when I was younger. And then we move on and find Uridium. Now this is a game that once again I've reviewed on one of my compilation reviews. I did say that I felt it was slightly overrated, mainly due to the fact that it's a bit of a memory test. Not enough variety in the levels. I'd like a bit more randomness, I think, in my shoot 'em ups. But it's still fantastic, and in my mind, it's the best looking version that's out there. So, in your face, Commodore 64 owners, Spectrum 1 looks miles better. Scores 90% in Crash. Let's see, but they only give the graphics 89. Maybe that's because they're monochrome, but the detail in the high-res Spectrum graphics just makes it definitely the best one. Straight onto the next page, and we're already on our third Crash Smash, and we're only on page 23 of the magazine. And this is Firelord. Who's this by? I've never played Firelord. It's by Hewson. I've seen adverts for it. I think there's an advert in this very magazine. But this one has got itself 91%. It's a game by Steve Crow. And they basically say Steve Crow does it again. And he's got a fair list of hits behind him. From the very good Factory Breakout to the superb Starquake. Well, I obviously know Starquake. That's a beautiful game. So maybe I'll try out Firelord. Graphics look nice. Yeah, another Crash Smash under his belt. And then I've done this one. It's just an advert, but this is a lovely collection of compilations from Master Games. I'm assuming Master Games had something to do with Ultimate, because there's quite a lot of Ultimate stuff in there. Let's have actually down here it says US Gold. So a collection of compilations from US Gold. There are 6 different ones, and I love them. I love the packaging of them. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that I'm a big compilation collector. I've got over 170 Spectrum compilations now, and I don't have a single one in the Master Games series. So that's something I need to put right. I'd love to have all 6 of those. So I'm just indulging myself there. And then we get a review for Zeno. Absolutely brilliant game. I can't remember whether I got it at full price or as a budget, but I think I'd have been happy with either. Such a simple game. You can see from the screenshot, it looks like you've got a couple of Galaxy Minstrels that you control and move towards the ball to try and get the ball into the net. And it's really simple. It's just one-on-one. But I absolutely loved it. From A&F, probably only one of 2 games that I actually think of when I think of the name A&F, and the other one is obviously Chucky Egg. Beautiful game, Zeno. One of my favourite memories of the old Spectrum days. Next one to show is Miami Vice. Some of the Ocean licenses were just awful, weren't they? And Miami Vice scores an awesome 27% from Crash, who basically say steer clear. I think I did. I certainly don't remember paying any money for it, but I have given it a go, and it is as bad as they say. But what's not as bad as they say is 180 darts, and I think this is an example of where Crash get it completely wrong, and 72% might be an okay score, and they even say it's the best ever darts game, but it's more than that. It's a bloody good game in its own right. How that did not get a Crash Smash, I do not know, especially at £2.99. I mean, you can't get a better darts game, and you certainly can't get a game that got that much fun built into it for £2.99 and then only give it 72%. What were you thinking? Next up, we've got Camelot Warriors, which I've called out because I actually reviewed that on the very first video I did on YouTube, which was when I was doing a group of videos called I think it was Random Gamer, where I would randomly choose games in various ways. And I think for the Spectrum ones, I just had a box full of Spectrum games and shoved my hand in like a lucky dip. And out came Camelot Warriors as one of the 3 chosen games. Yeah, so there's a review of that on my channel, and I'll stick a link to it if I remember in the video. And you can check that out if you are inclined. Next, we've got the Goonies. And the only reason I've shown that is because I didn't even know there was a Goonies game. I've always found the Goonies film to be a little bit overrated. I know that I'm probably the only person who was alive in the 80s who thinks that, but yeah, there we go. The game is a good 2-player game, apparently, but tough, and got 60%. Yeah, didn't even know they'd made a Goonies game. So we'll flick a few more pages forward, and here we get our competition. And you don't win a compact disc, you win a compact disc player. That makes more sense. And 50 copies of Academy, the sequel to Tau Ceti. So what you have to do on this, for some reason, is design a futuristic skimmer vehicle that is suitable for all of the Crash team. So there needs to be somewhere for Hannah to wash her hair, for Ben to keep all his trendy clothes. Graham needs somewhere to store his Gucci executive Doc Martens, and a room for his shoe shine kit, and Lee's rapidly disintegrating wardrobe. Yeah, so seems a bit of a daft competition. I probably wouldn't have bothered sending it in, but a compact disc player in 1986 was a decent prize. Then we get to the Adventure Trail, Derek Brewster's Adventure Trail, I should say. And it's interesting, this one, because we get Twice Shy is a Crash smash. And Twice Shy is actually a book that I did read when I was younger. It's by Dick Francis, and my dad was a big horse racing fan, and Dick Francis wrote quite a lot of books about horse racing. But Twice Shy had a lot of computer code in it as well, because it all related to computer code for beating the bookies. Yeah, so it was an interesting book. I've forgotten a lot of it, so it might be nice to read that again, or even play the game, because I never did. But it's by Mosaic, who also did Adrian Mole, didn't they? And if I remember rightly, I might be completely wrong, but wasn't there 2 games on the tape? Didn't you get an adventure game and a horse racing game? Maybe I should read the review that's right in front of me, and it'd tell me. But I think you did. I think you've got 2 games, and if you got 2 games for £9.95, then that's not a bad deal, is it? So maybe it's crash worthy. They gave it a 2-page review and 90% overall. So yeah, that's all we'll look at in the adventure section. But let's jump now. There's still lots to get through in this magazine. I think this is possibly the greatest Crash issue that was ever done. There's so many good games in here, and so many interesting things to read. So yeah, it is definitely one of the best. Next up, we've got one of the competitions. This is find out how to keep goal like Peter Shilton and get a signed football from the whole England squad. So this is all related to the World Cup that had just finished a couple of months earlier. And we have questions about Peter Shilton. We have how old was he on his debut, what clubs has he played for, who were the other goalkeepers in the World Cup party, and what do you think Mr. Shilton said to Mr. Maradona after the infamous incident, not forgetting that the competition's minion leads a sheltered life, so no nasty rude words, please. Then we get Hannah Smith's playing tips. I'm only calling out that it's now Hannah Smith's playing tips because of an feature that comes up. Let's see if it's next. It's not next, but it's soon. Let's have a look though. We've got this. I love this. This is one of my favourite hotline charts, and the reason for that is you look at the top, and then the games in there are fantastic. We've got Ghosts and Goblins, Paperboy, Commando, and Bombjack, all by Elite. all in the top 5. That's 4 of the top 5. But what I love even more is that 4 Elite games in the top 5. And what's the other game that's in the top 5? It's Elite. So Elite are in all 5 positions. One of them being Elite game from Firebird, and the other being games from Elite, the company, which I think you understand without me having to labour the point. But I just love that, and just keeping going down that chart. It's absolutely fantastic. The number of games in there that are really, really top notch. I mean, I went all the way down to Stainless Steel before I was thinking that's a game I'm not sure about. Everything else up to that point, Light Force sometimes I like Light Force, sometimes I think it's little bit overrated, but mostly that is a fantastic list of 30 top games. So yeah, really enjoyed that top chart, and then we'll keep going because there's still plenty of reviews to come. And here we go. Here's the Hannah Smith article that I wanted to mention, and it's a competition. 50 copies of Cosmic Shock Absorber to win, but you get it by, we've got this picture of Hannah Smith in her underwear, and we have to draw some clothes on her, which just seems, that's definitely of its time, isn't it? You wouldn't be doing that right now. Yeah, I wonder what Hannah herself thinks of that these days. Moving on, though, we have an interesting article about software advertising and all the different tricks that software companies use to sell games to us. Talking about the use of screenshots when often games are advertised before the game's even been created. So, you can't always even rely on the screenshots being from the actual game that you're going to get. But there's a lot of information in there. It's mostly tongue-in-cheek, but yeah, it's quite interesting. And what they finish with are 4 reviews, but not reviews of the games, reviews of the adverts. And I found it quite interesting because we've got Sam Fox Strip Poker, which the advert gets 10%. Now, I've never thought it was a bad advert, but what we do get is Martech telling us that it's includes international 7-card stud, and they say, what is it they say? Probably even the most powerful simulation ever written for a home computer. And Crash say that it says a lot about Martech, that they feel the only way to sell this exceptional simulation, probably the most powerful simulation ever written, is to hitch it to a game riding on a pair of mammoth jugs. Oh dear. It's still of its time, like I said. The Great Escape, they're showing an advert there of Bob Wakelin art, and this was an advert that had nothing about the game on it. So you didn't even know what you were doing. I assume they were playing off the name The Great Escape, releasing it not far from Christmas, where people probably would be watching the film. But yeah, it just seems a bit presumptuous to just stick out an advert with nothing actually telling you what you do in the game. And then we get the best advert, and the best advert is for Legend of the Amazon Women, which says that it's one of those rare ads where the artist's impression is actually worse than the graphics in the game. Legend of the Amazon Women is also remarkable in that few will ever forget it. Perhaps it's therefore also one of the most successful ads in history. It doesn't actually pick it up that well. But yeah, that's fairly infamous Legend of the Amazon Women painting. Cracking on, and we get next the lowest scoring game in the magazine. It isn't 27% for Miami Vice, it's 17% for a game called Dr. What. I've never heard of this. It's by CRL, who were, a fairly respectable company. But yeah, that hasn't gone down well. And it's given a general rating of a nasty steaming dollop of what. Okay. We then got onto a run of Crash Smashes, and the first one being Druid, which is, and one of the first Gauntlet clones that came out after the release of Gauntlet. And the game scores 90% in Crash, but when you read the criticism, which from the 3 reviewers, which is absolutely glowing on all 3, I'm only surprised that the scores isn't much higher than that. And one of them even said that if I didn't have to write this comment, I'd still be playing it. So yeah, I'm surprised it didn't score higher. Next we get Thanatos, which is another beautiful looking game. The lovely animation of the dragon and the people throwing their spears at it. It's an image I'll always remember. It was a lovely looking game. I think, I'm not sure the longevity was that great with it, although Crash seemed to think it was very playable and good value for money, giving it an overall score of 93%. And calling it an excellent and rather different arcade adventure, which I would agree with. And I would agree it is just a Crash Smash game. But yeah, those graphics were amazing. We then get on to the previews. And the reason I've looked at the previews is because of this one down here. So we've had the Peter Shilton competition, where it seems fair enough that they're being quite complimentary about Peter. But then we get whinge, moan, gripe. Getting this year's award for sour grapes is Peter Shilton's Handball Maradona. But I'm not having it. It's not sour grapes when you're cheated out of a place in the World Cup final. That's not sour grapes. That's just daylight robbery. And all I can imagine is that this article is either written by a non-football fan or a Scotsman. Because no, I'm not having it. It's not sour grapes. It's theft. And then we look at this image here, and maybe that is Spectrum Graphics. This is the image that I was thinking, is that from a different system? But now, on looking again, yeah, maybe it is a Spectrum one. And if it is, it's quite nice. so I'll take it back. But what is the game called? Let's have a quick look. Agent Orange. So yeah, so let me know in the comments if that is the Spectrum screenshot. And maybe it's just the colouring that makes it look like it's not. But it probably is. And then the last couple of pages are still previews. We find more about Star Glider and a few other games. Oh, what's this one? Ikari Warriors, which I think was one of the hardest games I'd ever played. But that doesn't look like Ikari Warriors to me. Well, maybe it is. And the very last thing to call out is this little beauty here. We're starting to hear about Little Computer People. What a wonderful game that was. One of those games where you can spend hours and hours doing absolutely nothing. And I loved it. So yeah, that's it. That's the last of the 3 Spectrum magazines I wanted to go through. Oops, I think we're losing the cover on that one. I've still got plenty more to read out of those 10 issues. I may look at some of the others at some point. I'll certainly do them as reviews over time, using the computerized versions, the digitized versions of these magazines, but I may use some of these physical ones as well at some point. But yeah, that's it. This was a nice little celebration of getting a lot of free stuff, but also of hitting those 500 subscribers. So cheers.
Hold on, where's that Cobra review?
Well, we certainly can't miss out the cover star, so let's get that magazine back and have a look. Right, I know it was somewhere near the back, but let's see if we can find it. Oh, there we go. Big 2-pager. Crash Smash review. We can't miss that out. So yeah, Jonathan Smith, one of his absolutely fantastic games. A completely different game to the one that was released on other systems. It's absolutely beautiful. The Commodore and Amstrad games are both awful. And us Spectrum users got this wonderful thing. I mean, just look at those graphics. It was terribly, terribly difficult, particularly that first level. But it was just so much fun. I'm a massive Stallone fan, so I won't have anything bad said against the game or against the film. I don't care what people say about it being a poor film. It's not. It's a masterpiece. What other film can you see somebody cutting pizza with scissors? Come on. It's an absolute masterpiece, and so is this game from Jonathan Smith. It's one of my favourite graphics from any game. This image of Sylvester Stallone there carrying the machine gun. I remember creating that using some fuse beads at some craft workshop I was doing with some children. Those beads that you do your little pixel design and then you iron them. I made a massive image of Stallone from Cobra on that, and I think I've still got it somewhere. It was brilliant, loved it. Great film, great game, and it would have been remiss of me to stop the video and not include this, so I've chastised myself, I've put things right, and all is good in the world. Catch you later.